Recording is on.
Bingo. Thanks, Carmel. Okay, so what is a Barlow? A Barlow or a focal extender is a lens that increases the effective focal length of a telescope, and therefore it increases the magnification of a given eyepiece used with that telescope. Alternatively, and this is how we generally think of it, we think of it in terms of eyepiece focal length. So Barlow will effectively shorten the focal length of a given eyepiece by the magnification factor of the Barlow. So the end result is to get a higher magnification from a given eyepiece. 20mm eyepiece on a 2 times Barlow is exactly the same as using a 10mm eyepiece, as we discussed a bit earlier. How does it work? Well, it's a negative lens. If you look at the left-hand side, it's a Barlow diverging lens. So it takes the image from, at the original focal point, we have the picture that the telescope forms. And all it does, it picks up that picture and it stretches it out to the second focal point after Barlow on the right. And as it stretches it out, it makes the picture bigger and bigger and bigger. And so when we focus it on with the eyepiece, we are no longer seeing the whole picture. We're just seeing a smaller piece of the middle of the picture. So it stretches that image out. So we only see a smaller piece there. Most Barlows have a 2-element lenses to minimize chromatic and spherical aberrations. You do get some premium Barlows that have triplet lenses incorporating an ED or ED glass element to further reduce chromatic aberration. Most of the Barlows on the market, even the cheaper 2-element ones, are well corrected and the lenses are multi-coated and there's very little image degradation. So really, you can buy any decent Barlow from GSO, from Celestron, from Orion, from whoever. I've got a cheap GSO shorty Barlow 2-element and it is amazingly good for what I paid for it. And so generally, most of the Barlows we buy on the market nowadays are really pretty decent. Then we get telecentric focal extenders, and they have 4 lens elements to eliminate edge aberrations and vignetting, and we'll talk about those in more detail now. All right. So Barlows, and here we have a shorty Barlow at the top, we have a long Barlow at the bottom. They do exactly the same job. Barlows are designed to deliver their nominal magnification when fitted directly in front of the eyepiece. So focuser on a Newtonian, Barlow, eyepiece. Diagonal on a refractor or a Cassegrain, Barlow, eyepiece will give you very close to the nominal magnification. And they're available in magnifications from 2 times to 5 times. But depending where I put the Barlow, that magnification can change. So if I take the Barlow and I put it in front of the diagonal, or I use an extension tube between the Barlow and the eyepiece, it will deliver more than the nominal magnification. So if I take my diagonal out, put in the Barlow, put the diagonal into the Barlow, and then put the eyepiece in, I will have more than 2 magnification. The shorty will give me more of that effect because it's got a stronger lens in it. It's got a stretch in a shorter distance. So that magnification difference, depending where you put the Barlow in the optical train, is much stronger with the shorty Barlow. Okay.
2.8 you put in front of the diagonal.
Yeah, somewhere around there. It's approximate. However, to do that, I've got to rack the focus in to achieve focus, and I might not be able to rack it in enough to achieve focus. Depends on the telescope. And we've talked about the shorty Barlow having the stronger lens. Now a nice little trick. If I take the front element of my Barlow out, and you can do this with a GSO Barlow, you can do this with a Celestron Barlow. If I take out that Barlow element from the tube and I screw it directly into the front of the eyepiece, as is shown in the center picture, like a filter, my 2 times Barlow element will now give me a 1.5 magnification. So if 2 is a bit too much and I want that little bit less, take the element out of the tube, screw it into the front of the eyepiece, I've now got a 1.5. Very neat little trick. Then we get power mates or focal extenders. These are the 4 lens element Barlows, and at this point they really are only made by Teleview and Explore Scientific. Teleview called them power mates, Explore Scientific called them focal extenders. These are also available in magnifications 2 to 5. Now, Barlow lenses have divergent exit rays, and that causes those funny effects on magnification depending where you put them in. Focal extenders have parallel exit rays, which eliminates vignetting. And with the exception of the 5 extenders, it doesn't matter where you put these things in, the magnification remains constant. Does not change. So that's one of the differences. Barlows have an effect on eye relief. That speaker's getting quite irritating. There you go. Problem sorted. Okay. So this can be quite beneficial. Using a Barlow retains or generally increases the eye relief of the eyepiece being used. So if I use a 10mm Plössl, I've got 6mm eye relief. I've really got to push my eyeball into that eyepiece to get it into focus. But I can take a 20mm Plössl on a Barlow, and it will still give me the 12mm eye relief of the 20mm Plössl, give me the magnification of the 10mm, and now suddenly I've got a 10mm with a 12mm eye relief, which is very good. Okay, this increase in eye relief becomes more pronounced at longer focal length eyepieces. So if I put this on a 40mm Plössl, it becomes a big problem because now my eye relief becomes so long that I end up with eye placement problems. So, but on the shorter eyepieces, it's a huge plus, huge plus. Okay, power mate will retain the eye relief, but it will not increase the eye relief. So a Barlow will change magnification depending where you put it, and it can increase eye relief. Power mate or focal extender, doesn't matter where you put it in the train, and it will always hold the original eye relief of the eyepiece. Yeah, and it arguably gives slightly better views. It's more highly corrected. We can stack Barlows. So we can put a 2x on a 2x. They're not designed to do this. So you might get aberrations. Your image quality might suffer. If you put a 2x on top of a 2x, you'll not necessarily get 4x. It depends on the distance between the lenses and the distance to the focal plane. And you have shorty Barlows or long Barlows. And you will generally get better image quality by using a single Barlow of the desired magnification. But if once a year you want to try and split Sirius and you really are trying to throw magnification and you have 2 Barlows, stack them, go for it, try it, you have nothing to lose.
It's more fuzzy.
It might get more fuzzy, I don't know. It's unpredictable, but you have nothing to lose by trying. Would not recommend it for astrophotography. But for visual, give it a bash. Some Barlows have filter threads at the bottom, so you could screw a filter into the bottom of the Barlow. Generally, I don't know why you'd want to do that, because you could generally screw, if you've got eyepieces, you can generally screw the filter into the eyepiece. If you have a camera adapter that doesn't have a filter thread, then this becomes useful, because you can put the filter into the Barlow and slip the camera into the Barlow and you've got your filter. Okay, so for instance, the Explore Scientific extenders have filter threads at the bottom of the barrel. The GSO 1 1/4 have filter threads. I believe the Celestron have filter threads. And so if you're using them with a little camera, it could be quite useful. Also, you get some nice Barlows. GSO and Celestron sell these, where you've got a T2 ring incorporated in the top of the Barlow. And so you can put your M42 T2 adapter directly into the Barlow and attach your camera directly to the Barlow. So you don't need an extra T-threaded focus adapter. And of course, if you unscrew the lens cell from the bottom, you can just use that as a normal T2 1 1/4 adapter for other imaging application. And obviously, those Barlows still take an eyepiece in at the top. So it's a very versatile Barlow, slightly more expensive than the one without the T2, but if you are intending to use a camera, this might be a very attractive option. And as I say, even though it's a 2-element Barlow, the quality is generally very decent. If you're doing planetary imaging, we would generally take a planetary camera or a DSLR. We'd attach it to a Barlow. We'd put it into the back of the telescope for prime focus. You will need to magnify the image so that it's large enough to be sufficiently sampled by the pixel size in your camera to record the fine details. And again, this is quite a complicated subject. I'm going to take a very quick look at it in the next slide, but it's quite complex. If you really are into this, go read up about it. The amount of magnification used should be based on the seeing and the pixel size of your camera. And a simple rule of thumb for high resolution work is to multiply your pixel size by 3 times to 7 times in that range to get the focal ratio at which you should work. So let's take an example. Camera of the 2.9 micron pixel size on an 8-inch Smith Cattergrain with a 2000 focal length and an f10 focal ratio. On nights of good seeing, at 5 magnification, we use 5x, the pixel size, to determine the optical focal ratio. So 2.9 microns times 5 is f15, which would require a 1.5 Barlow. So I could unscrew my element, screw it into the front of the eyepiece or my camera tube, and off I go. With superb seeing, you can push to 7 pixel size. So 2.9 microns times 7 is f20, which would require a 2 times Barlow. In practice, with good to excellent seeing, a 2 times Barlow works pretty well. If you look at the photograph on the left there, that was shot through an 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, f10 focal ratio, with a 2.9 micron pixel size camera, with a 2 times Explore Scientific focal extender. And although the seeing wasn't magnificent, I actually managed to get quite a decent result there. It came out quite nice. Yeah. There's a very good explanation of that whole shooting match on a website called www.astropix.com. They go into serious detail there, which I'm not going to do tonight. So if you are interested, astropix.com. The other thing where a Barlow can be useful is astrophotography using a Newtonian. If you buy an imaging Newtonian, they generally call them an astrograph, it's designed to bring the image to focus using a camera. A lot of the Newtonians designed for visual work, you can't get the camera in close enough to get it to focus. So the generally recommended fix is to buy a shorter focuser to be able to bring the camera in a bit closer, or move the primary mirror up in the tube by 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Now that's serious surgery on your telescope, which you can collimate, but yeah, it's major surgery. So I for one would be very hesitant to do that. Alternatively, if you put a Barlow between the camera and the focuser, you might be able, by extending the image outwards, you might be able to achieve focus. Depends very much on the design or your particular model of telescope. Some coma correctors, if you're doing astrophotography, have a slight Barlow effect. So you might find that you can't get focus, but if you put the coma corrector in, you can get focus. But these coma correctors are, again, horrifically expensive. All right, so that's really the uses of a Barlow. That's what we use them for. Now, I'm going to do some general talking at the back here. We're almost done, guys. I've only got about 120 slides still to go. Let's talk about suppliers. We have a problem in South Africa because we do have suppliers and we have very good suppliers. The market here is microscopic compared to the market in the USA, compared to the market in Europe, compared to the market in the UK. So the suppliers, bless them, cannot afford to keep full ranges of everything in stock. They would be sitting with a huge amount of dead and slow-moving stock. They just can't. So they tend to bring in the stuff that sells well and moves fast. And you can understand it. They're in business to make money and stay in business. And that's what they have to do. So where can we buy these things? Well, we have some good local suppliers. GNL agencies who very generously sponsored our astrophotography competition, and they sponsor quite a lot of stuff for ASA. have got a digital website called digitechplus.coza, and it's their retail outlet where they sell. And they stock Celestron, they stock the Omniplossals, they stock the Barlows, they stock telescopes, they stock Skywatcher, Dobsonians, they stock some ZWO stuff, which is the astrophotography stuff. They stock some William Optics stuff. And so that would be my first port of call, would be to try them. There's a company called Graphic Image Technologies, or GIT. They don't stock eyepieces. They do bring in telescopes and astrophotography equipment. Just please double check their pricing. They can be very reasonably priced and they can be extremely expensive. So you've got to check the pricing. Yeah, they can be very cheap, but wow, they can actually blow the lights out with some of their pricing. Then recently, the guy I think is in Pretoria, a guy called Mark, started a website called www.telescopium.co.za, and he brings in the Zvaboni equipment, including eyepieces. I haven't bought eyepieces from him. I bought a lot of things like rails and brackets and stuff like that, and his pricing is very sharp. He's actually cheaper than you can buy anywhere, including AliExpress, and bring in. So his pricing is very sharp. As I say, I have not bought his eyepieces. But good supplier, sharp. If he hasn't got stock, he'll tell you when it's coming in, and literally he'll courier it to you pretty much the next day or the next afterwards. Long established in SA is Eridanus Optics, who has also been a sponsor of ASA in various forms for many years. A guy called Andre van der Linde. He's gone very low profile. His website has collapsed. Email him on andre@eridanusoptics.com or WhatsApp him on his phone. Please, he's got a full-time job, so don't call him during working hours. He still has some Baader Hyperion primes in stock. He has a lot of camera adapters, etc. in stock. And so before you rush off and buy overseas, drop Andre an email. He's got quite a lot of old stock. And when he has got stuff, his pricing is very good. So again, drop him an email, see if he's got it. It's worth the try. And again, he's in Pretoria. Yeah, he's in Pretoria. Again, I've bought a lot of stuff from him. Very good supplier. You're not going to get a disappointment there. Those really are the local guys. Overseas, the ones in white I've bought with and dealt from. The ones in red I haven't, but they are reputable. Amazon.com, Agena Astro in the States, B&H Photo Video in New York, Agena Astro in California, Adorama also in New York, High Point Scientific, I think they're also, I'm not sure where they are, but they are USA. And then in the UK, First Light Optics, very good, very helpful, very efficient.
And quite reasonably priced.
Quite reasonably priced. It's just, again, the courier fees can kill you. I think minimum courier fee to bring out to the UK is £39. We'll talk about that just now. And then Telescope Service in Germany, also very, very efficient. Baader in Germany will not sell direct to South Africa because they have local agents. GNL are supposed to be the new local agents. Andre used to be that. But yeah, Telescope Service in Germany will sell you Baader stuff into South Africa. And First Light Optics will also. Those are the reliable suppliers that I've used in the past. Don't just look at the website and think, wow, that's a cheap price. So we pay no import duty on eyepieces and astronomical items. Customs VAT is not 15%, it's 16.5% on the value of the item you buy. It's not charged on the freight. So if I buy a $100 eyepiece, I will be charged rand equivalent of $16.50 for VAT. Then you pay the freight, which is ANA, and then there are usually additional disbursement fees and brokerage claims and admin and all of that. If I take UPS as a typical supplier, Agena Astro use UPS, typically between 300 and 500 Rand on top of the entire thing. When your goods land, the local clearing house want to be paid. If you can find it on Amazon.com, I love Amazon because they bundle everything. They bundle the customs VAT, they bundle the charges, they bundle it into one lump sum. What you pay Amazon is what you pay. And sometimes a month later, you get an email saying, oh, we overcharged you, we're crediting you with R1.65, which is stupid, but they do it all the time. But it's one bundled cost. So, it takes all that other stuff out of it. And they're very efficient. 2 weeks, your stuff is here. Do not send stuff by post office. They are better now, but you're going to wait 2 months to 3 months for your stuff. And with high value items, you are taking a serious risk. So pay the courier fees and smile. If you buy from FLO or Telescope Express, their listed price on the website includes their local VAT. And if you go and put it in the basket and tell them you're in South Africa, then you'll see the real price in the basket. They take off their local VAT, which can be quite high. USA prices are net of VAT. So that's the price. USA, you're going to pay that plus 16.5%. All right. So that's about buying stuff. If you want to go deep down into the subject of eyepieces and go down the rabbit hole, again, you can buy this on Amazon. It's an exhaustive guide on choosing, using, and comparing eyepieces. It's a little bit out of date regarding the latest available eyepieces, but it's literally an encyclopedia. From Amazon, not expensive. It's a guy called Bill Paolini, choosing and using astronomical eyepieces. So if you are interested in the subject, this is a Bible. It's really, really good. And it's not outrageously expensive. And that's me for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much, John. That was really extensive, and you've really shared your very deep knowledge of eyepieces with us. So thank you so much for that. Is there anybody in the audience or online who'd like to ask any questions? It's Sue. Would you like to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question?
Push the MM twice.
Yes, I have a question. It's very good